I feel today there's like something bursting forth in the planet. Something is happening because it is spring, of course. It's that time of year. All of a sudden, the rains seem to have subsided for a moment. And here in San Francisco, we feel everything going forward, springing from the ground. And at the same time, there is a lot of pain in the world, a lot of suffering, a lot of anger, war, famine, death. And so while this may be the moment that the northern hemisphere comes back awake and things change, what is going on the planet does not escape our gaze, does not escape our notice, and it affects us all profoundly. I titled this talk An Evolutionary Leap, because I really do feel that what is necessary in this moment, what we need, is a leap from what has been to what could be, and what is actually waiting to be birthed on the planet. And there is this profound difference between what is and what could be. And how do we inhabit that space? How do we fully step in to the spiritual authority each and every one of us has to be the change agent on the planet? No, it may be manifesting for you in your personal life. It may be manifesting in your relationships. It may be manifesting in your job. It may be manifesting in your extended family. But I believe that each and every one of us is feeling this tug, this pull to something greater. And to do that, we have to let go of the structures that have gotten us to this point. You know, when the first primordial creature crawled out of the ocean and made its way onto the land millions of years ago, they were an anomaly. Today they would be called freaks, right? And those freaks inhabited new territory. Those evolutionary leaps that take place sometimes are not welcomed. They're looked at and they're shunned and they're pushed aside. But that leap of consciousness and that leap in the physical realm, the manifest realm, is what we all need to welcome and embrace. So we have a song we sing here every year in Gay Pride Month. It's called Fly Your Freak Flag. Fly your freak flag high, because your being, your unique expression of the divine life inside of you is what is going to make the world a better place. Pema Chodron talks about it this way. Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. Are you struggling with something right now in your life that keeps reoccurring and reoccurring in your life, and you're going, oh, really? This lesson again? This lesson again? Until we wake up. Until we wake up and say, the world is acting out and the world is crazy because we are, and we haven't learned the lesson of how to make it a better place. Whether that be in our personal life, in our business life, in our spiritual life. How we, as spiritual people, right? We're all here today online and in this room because we're spiritual people. We're here for the spiritual community. We're here for the spiritual lessons. We're here for it. And yet, how many of us, myself included, deride other spiritual paths? How many of us make fun of the spiritual paths we came from, right? Jessica sang it earlier, there is only one power and one presence, right? There's one power, whatever we call it. So if we can understand that totally and let go of calling ourselves a recovering Baptist or a recovering Catholic, and let go, because in that statement is derision. Is there a put down of some other people's faith, some other people's way of being? We hear it in our politics when they talk about and banning Islam from the United States. right? It's like, that is just not who is going to succeed. The evolutionary leap will be when we can see everyone, as the divine expression they are, and not letting them be defined by anything on the outside. Anything on the outside. Because within us all is that infinite truth, that possibility. So what is it that is calling you right here in this moment? I know for me, there's been this incredible pain lately as I watch the news. Incredible pain looking at famine and starvation and death in the Mideast, in Gaza and in Israel, and that the same old is happening. If you read the Bible carefully, I have shared this with you before, if you read the Bible carefully in the Hebrew scriptures, and it's told that the Hebrew people come out of Israel and they are promised this land by their God, by their God's chosen people, and this is the land that they're going to inherit, what we now call Israel and Palestine. But if you read the scriptures, they had to fight for it. They murdered and destroyed people's homes and villages to take it. So this story of the battle in Palestine, in Israel, and for dominance in this land has been going on for thousands of years. And have we not learned the lesson yet? Obviously not, because it keeps persisting. It keeps persisting that war, death, destruction is never the answer. However good anger may feel in the moment, because it gives us adrenaline and gets us going and gets everybody riled up and feels so righteous. But the evolutionary leap for all of us is to understand that love is actually the answer. Love is the answer in every situation, at every moment, in every time. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. No excuses. Well, they did. Well, let's go back 2,000 years if we want to go to the they dids and what happened even before that. When are we going to take the evolutionary leap to stop blaming others for our life? When are we going to take the responsibility to stand up and say, this is who I am, and I am the miracle. I am the miracle that will stand here in this moment and know that there is something better to be had by my letting go of personal hates, personal prejudices and biases, and personal lists of what they did to me. When we can stand in truth and know that we are enough, we have enough, we do enough, we are enough, whatever anyone else does or doesn't do can't disturb our peace of mind, our stillness, and our wholeness. I long for that world, a dream of that world. And while it feels good to come here and sing the songs and listen to our band and to celebrate and to enjoy this time with all of you here at home and here in the room, there is something greater waiting to be birthed. Sometimes when things seem to be falling apart, they are in fact coming together. Right? It's listed as unknown. I think the universe wrote that. I think it should be quoted as the universe, spirit talking to us. We get so upset when things fall apart. Jobs, marriages, situations. In my world, in the running of unity communities around the country, there's so much worry about things changing, about, there are more people at home. How do we get them back into the room? Well, do we need to? I mean, those of you who are here, you've drunk the tea. You like it here. We have a great time. We've eaten the food downstairs. We do have fun here. But we are reaching more and more people through the cameras you see around the room. We are reaching people who never would have heard our message. And so what if that it's not falling apart, it's actually falling together? That Unity San Francisco is actually bigger than it's ever been because we're not defined by this little tiny piece of land in San Francisco. We are defined by the message we put out and the community we build across boundaries, seeming boundaries, right? Across what seems to separate us. I was talking to someone in my office this week, and it reminded me of the story. Ken Wilber wrote a book in the 1970s called No Boundaries. And he talked about how boundaries are just an illusion. There's a twist of our thinking that actually what we see as a boundary, like where the shore and the sea meet, is actually where the two things interact. It's where they share ideas and share their essence. And the sand is permeated by the ocean, and the ocean constantly changes the shore. And that is the truth of the interaction. That is not a hard and fast boundary. That we are all working together, and we all affect everyone. That's why this is our year of influence. Because we are here to have an effect on the planet. And that gets dangerous because we've all, as human race, taken on this idea that we are the dominant species on the planet. Is that true? I don't know. But I do know that us not caring about the planet and us pillaging it for every resource has left us in a crisis. And perhaps this crisis, this climate crisis, is how actually things are falling together. Do you know that there are books right now being written and ideas being promulgated that we could not only solve the climate crisis, but reverse it by the year 2050? That if we all decided to do it, if we all came together and did like a moonshot for the climate crisis, that we could change everything that is happening that seems to be endangering our life on the planet and shift it into a plus for us. That is an evolutionary leap that I am ready to take, that I am ready to be a part of. I am ready to stand up here and say, yes, count me in. I know it means I will have to give up some things. Growing up involves that too. We have to give up our childish behavior, well, sometimes. Staying childlike, sometimes. With my best friends, as I talked about last week, I have those moments where I get to pout, where I get to be my 5-year-old. And at the same time, what lies ahead? We're finishing up our book study this coming week of Lynn Twist's amazing book, Leading a Committed Life, right? And one of the things we need to do is commit to this evolutionary leap. The same old cannot continue, folks. And we're certainly not going back to the way things were. Right, ladies? We're not going back to the way things were, right? Right? And people of color in the room, are we going back to the way things were? Hell no. LGBTQ plus people in the room, are we going back to the way things were? Hell no. What we're doing is we're going forward, and we're creating a new heaven and a new earth right here and right now so that we can be the change agents the world so desperately needs. Lynn talks about it this way. I believe that those of us who are alive today, or alive now, young, old, male, female, are the imaginal cells that are gathering together to create the next phase of human existence. And what she's meaning about that is imaginal cells, as she's talking about the process when a caterpillar goes into a butterfly. The first thing that happens is these groups of cells, and they're literally called imaginal cells, start to pop up in the caterpillar's body. And they are not the predominant number of cells in the caterpillar's body. But these imaginal cells come together and they take control. They reach the tipping point and they take control of the caterpillar. And they turn the caterpillar from what it was into a kind of goo. And out of that goo, they break apart everything that was, and the imaginal cells build this miraculous, unexpected, beautiful butterfly out of that goo. That's where we are right now. We are in the goo of this planet's existence. We are in the goo of this planet's life, and it is time for us now to let us be one of the imaginal cells, this community and each individual within the sound of my voice, to be an imaginal cell that is waking up and saying, no, we are not going back. We are only going forward. We are going to create a world that works for everyone. No exceptions, no exclusions. We are going to create a world of peace and equality, of justice and harmony. And we are going to create a world where the money doesn't exist only with the top 1%, but that it is equally shared across all fields so that everyone can have enough to live. There is more than enough food on the planet. There are more than enough resources on the planet and in the universe. What we need to do is to distribute them differently. That doesn't mean that we have to suffer and that we are not going to be okay. We don't have to sacrifice for other people to have what they need. What we need is a totally new mindset that lets go of this idea of lack. Let's go of this idea that privilege and power are the most important things in life. And understand that community, love, how we create a place of fairness and justice is the most important thing on this life. There's a Hopi saying, we are the ones we've been waiting for. We, you and I, are the ones the planet has been waiting for. Let's wake up. Let's really wake up and be that change for the planet. Let's take this to our time of meditation.